Hello YouTube, this is Gold Silver Strength here, and today we're going to do a market recap for July 31st, 2020 for the three major US indices, the DXY, Russell 2000, Bitcoin, gold, and silver. We'll also do a weekly recap since it's the end of the week, and also a July monthly recap and see if there's any new trends we can expect for August and for the next upcoming week. So going over the daily chart for the DXY using the moving average cross, it formed a green candle today actually. Let's see what price it's at. And it's at 93.46. So from the daily chart, it looks as though the DXY is going to trade sideways for a bit. There is no long bottom tail, no top tail. So from a daily standpoint, it's gonna trade sideways from here. It doesn't look as though it's gonna approach the 9-day moving average. So it's a neutral opinion on the DXY. Let's go over the weekly. The weekly chart shows a different story. It has a long bottom tail, and it implies that this should be the end of the retracement, and starting next week there should be some bounce back going upward. Even though there is a bearish MA cross, we can expect it somewhere in between this range, but not touching the 9-day moving average just yet. Or it could. We don't know because all we have is just the historical price action, and moving forward in the future, all we can do is react. As for the monthly candlesticks, it shows a huge bearish candle. It's still within the bullish MA cross, and it's just going to cross into a bearish territory. From the monthly standpoint, it looks as though the DXY is still going to go down, and it has support right here at 88. It also has a lot of support here actually at 93 from the other previous candlesticks in 2015. So it's currently testing those support levels, and we'll see for next month whether or not the DXY can break through this support, or will it chop sideways and bounce back upward. Going over the Dow for the monthly chart, it is trading in between the 9-day moving average and 26-day moving average. It still has a bullish cross. It's recently formed a top tail, but it is primarily a doji. It hasn't tested its recent highs in the last few months, so it's currently still on a slight uptrend, but it's traded sideways compared to last month. In terms of the weekly chart, it recently crossed into a bullish pattern, and it formed a doji for this week. It briefly touched the 9-day moving average, and it still hasn't tested the 27,000 level resistance. So next week we can look forward for more of the same, continue to trade sideways, and see if it can break these resistance levels for the weekly chart. As for the daily chart, it's in a bullish cross, and it formed two bottom tails, which is very bullish for the Dow. Although it trades sideways, this is telling me from a daily standpoint it is very, very bullish in the short term, and it should push for higher highs next week. Here is my moneymaker. If you read the title and you're interested how I made over $3,000 in one trade, I basically traded the bounce off the 26-day moving average as seen historically in the daily chart for the NASDAQ, and sold it today when it peaked above the 9-day moving average. And that's just really how easy it is when you identify trends and just place your trades and you sell it off for profit. So it formed a bottom tail. It basically opened and closed close to the same price, which is very bullish for the NASDAQ. And moving forward to next week, we can expect it to continue to trend upward. Going over the weekly chart, it chopped sideways in the bullish cross. It then touched the 9-day moving average, and it's actually in between last week's candles. So it's really charging its energy for another big run, either up, down, or sideways. As for the monthly chart, the NASDAQ pushed for higher highs, and it didn't really form a significant top tail. So, and it still hasn't shown any weakness in terms of a bearish cross where the 9-day moving average will intersect the 26-day moving average. So going on to the month of August, we can either expect more of the same or we can expect it to calm down and chop sideways. As for the S&P 500 monthly chart, it made higher highs compared to the last month, but it still hasn't tested the recent highs of 3405. As for next week, we can expect it to continue the same trend or chop sideways. Looking at the past price action for the S&P 500, we have one here where it chopped sideways for a little bit and then made a new high. Looking for similar candles where there was a small top tail like this, but right here there's another one, but it traded higher for the next month. So really it can chop sideways or trade higher for next month. Price action wise, it doesn't look as though it can go down, but you should be prepared if it does. As for the weekly chart for the S&P 500, it traded sideways. The entire candle is engulfed by the previous candle. It's still a bullish cross, and for the future, we can continue to see it chop sideways unless it breaks up or breaks down. The daily chart's pretty interesting because it actually formed a huge bottom tail, which is extremely bullish short term. It is really close to its local highs at 32.83, and it should break through these levels, if not test them for next week. For the Russell 2000 daily chart, it chopped sideways, and now it's slightly below the 9-day moving average. For the past week, 8-10 days, it has been doing pretty much the same thing, chopping sideways. So we can still expect to see more of the same unless it forms a huge top tail or a huge bottom tail. As for the weekly chart, barely a blip. It just chopped sideways, and moving forward, this doesn't provide any new information that we don't already know before. The monthly chart looks a little weird since we cannot see the previous monthly candles, but just based off the recent 5 candles, this candle is within the last month's candle, and it's still trying to approach new highs, but without seeing the other candles, you really cannot make another analysis based off just 5 candles alone. For July, it's been a good month for Bitcoin as it breaks through its local highs here at 10,500, and now it's approaching 12,000. We can see that the next resistance level is close to 12,000, and Bitcoin looks as though it's going to be approaching that very, very soon. The weekly chart just confirms what we see at the monthly chart. It broke through its recent highs right here, and it's looking to test the next resistance levels at close to 12,000. Though in the weekly chart, we can see that resistance level here is a little over 12,000 at 12,300. So that's more upside for Bitcoin. Again, with the bullish moving average cross, it actually broke through the 11,300 mark local high from the daily chart, and it's looking to go upward. So that's very bullish for Bitcoin, and we can continue to see more of the same going on to next week. Gold is currently testing its recent highs at 1976 in the daily chart. Yesterday was a brief blimp, but right now it's trying to test those highs and trying to break through. So as far as today's price action, it traded sideways today. The weekly chart tells a different story. It really trended upward with no resistance in sight, and it's still in the bullish cross, and there's no prior resistance. Let's see. Yeah, there's no prior resistance within the last 2 years of gold stopping here. There is no top tail, so we can still see more of the same for gold unless it does something weird in its price action. Monthly chart supports what the weekly chart is saying. It is a very strong month for gold in July. It formed no big top or bottom tails, and it's just a straight up trajectory. Now, the important point here is that we need to be careful that sharp price actions upward can also have very sharp price action downward. Usually nothing goes up in a straight line forever. They'll either chop sideways for a little bit, come down, and then go back up. So right now it looks good. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 green candles, but really 3 green candles in the monthly chart that shows very strong bullish momentum. And from reference, this is not the longest amount of candles in consecutive green candles I've ever seen. You can see that DXY there was 6 or 7 consecutive red candles. So this is not abnormal, but you should be careful and manage your risk better when investing or trading gold in your portfolio. For the silver monthly chart, we can see that it broke through recent resistance levels, multiple resistance levels, and it formed a small top tail. In terms of price action, this is very bullish, and it could continue upward, trade sideways, or trade downward. But this is a good start for a massive bull run if it were to continue. For the weekly chart, it's formed a big doji actually for the last week of July. This shows that bullish momentum is weakening, and it would either trade sideways or try to test these highs here at 26.31. As for the daily chart, it chopped sideways where it tested the 9-day moving average and bounced up. It's still in between this big doji candle from July 28th. So until it is breaking above these recent highs or these recent lows, we can continue to expect silver to chop in the daily chart. So if this is something you are looking to make a quick profit on, silver might not be the best investment vehicle for you. So overall, most of the markets are looking to make a massive bull run in the future while they chop sideways a little bit. The DXY is under a little bit of pressure, but it looks as though it might be on the reversal in some short to medium term outlook. And this is my market recap for July 31st, 2020's trading day, this week, and this month's analysis from the price action graphs. Thank you for listening. Are you tired of losing in trading and investing? check out my videos where I do a bare bones analysis on just the price action. No fancy indicators, no gimmicks, just trend analysis and winning here. And I'll see you guys in the next video.